Hey YouTubers, this is Electric Adventures with an updated room tour to celebrate my 200 plus subscribers, reaching that landmark. Now I'm lucky enough to have a double garage, which I'm doing a slow sweep around. I don't have all the space for video games, but I also actually work in this space as well. So this is my main desk. A supplementary desk there, which used to have somebody come in and do some work for me, but now primarily that's where I edit my videos. So what I'll do, and so I've basically got the retro computer stuff on this side of the room, and all of the consoles and software on this side of the room. So what I'll do, I'll work my way around slowly. I also do have a little bit of a collection of Star Wars Lego, and hidden in this bookcase, unfortunately behind a bit of flotsam, are quite a few science fiction and fantasy books. Oh, there, and sitting there, because I've been playing it recently, is my working Game Gear, care of EDT1138. So thank you very much for that. Okay, now starting up the top here, we have one of the prides of my retro computer collection that I got recently. It's a fully working ZX81 in-box with a RAM 16K RAM expansion. Works perfectly. I don't have it out all the time because it's quite small. I can get trod on, and it only works on the big TV, which I'll get round to shortly. So I get it out when I need it, and you can just sit it on your lap. They're so small, and it works quite well. So very pleased to get that into the collection because it rounds out the Sinclair part of my collection, as we'll get on to further. So just over here we have the first Atari 5200 cartridges that I got recently. They're all boxed. They don't really have a spot on the shelf yet until I do a bit of reorganisation, and also don't have an Atari 5200 yet. But I will be working on that later in the year. And now coming down here we have my Amiga boxed software collection. So they're the titles that I have boxed and complete. I got Zool recently for 99 cents. Most importantly, I've got the C compiler, and I do have an assembler as well, but I just don't have the manual for that one. That's the box for my Neo Geo Pocket Color, which is actually inside the house because I've been playing it. Here are my TI-99 4 and 4A books, software. So I've got things like command module, Parsec, the good old TI Invaders, advanced, there were the extended basic. I've pretty much quite a few of the user group magazines for the Australian user group. Hidden in here, a couple of miscellaneous items. We have the accessories for some of the add-ons for my Apple Newton, and we've got the one book I have for the ZX81, which is the Explorer's Guide to the ZX81, and my one software title that I picked up recently for the Dick Smith Wizard. I am, hunting around. When I pick up those for cheap, I'll pick those up. I have these black boxes for storing loose games, and this one is, sorry about the light, Neo Geo Pocket, and I have 24 Neo Geo Pocket titles, all sorts. 2 of the Metal Gears, Puzzle World, Pac-Man, quite a few of the fighting games, and some of the adventure games. Some quite good games. It's actually a spare box. Now coming down here, I have my 2 non-working MSX machines. This is the original Philips MS8250 machine that I ordered from the Netherlands, upgraded. Unfortunately, the postage service didn't treat it very well, and it just fires on with a blank screen, and that's all. And I haven't been able to get it working. On top of it was an MSX 2 Plus machine from Sony, which is an actual Japanese MSX. It's in really good condition. It was pretty much new, but I made a silly mistake when I got it about the power. Because I also got this from the Netherlands, I assumed the power had been changed over already, and it's got a change switch on the back. So I'm not that much, or I've forgotten a lot of my electronics knowledge. So I really need to have a go at trying to get that working. Hopefully, it's just blown some components on the power section of the motherboard. Now here I have some of the Acon Electron books that I've picked up recently. The one computer and video games that I've managed to find. I unfortunately threw out a lot of my computer and video games magazines. And my one Retro Gamer magazine, sent to me by One MSX to go. I have now subscribed to this magazine. I haven't received my first issue yet, but it should be due any day. Right, down to the next shelf. Now this is a shared shelf between the TRS-80 Color and MSX. So we have a couple of TRS-80 Color books, one loose cartridge, Space Assault. I've cut 3 boxed ones as well, Skiing, Math Bingo and Tennis, and some tape software. Then the rest of the shelf is either, are all for the MSX computer, so quite a few tape titles, a couple of cartridge games, that's King Kong 2 and that's Salamander. Xenon, a few loose cartridges down here, including Nemesis, one of my favourites. And yes, I do have one more spare copy of Miner, that's mine there, there's still one more. If anybody wants to trade of anything. Right, down the next shelf down, I have my Atari ST software, so we have the Lattice C compiler, 2 different assemblers, and then some boxed games, a bit of productivity software, because the Atari ST was my pre-PC era productivity machine. I used to publish a magazine using the machine. Now over to our next shelf, we have my Atari 8-bit boxed titles. The boxes are in all okay condition, you know, some of them are a bit crushed and knocked around. And I also, this section over here is all my loose Atari 8-bit games, of which I've got quite a few, and there's a few more in there. I really do like the Atari 8-bit collections, and I'm actually trying to do a collection of one of each of the different models, as you'll see as we go around. And next section is my Atari 7800 cartridge collection. I've got some boxed and a lot loose. Now I do have 2 that are non-PAL, and which are Tau, Toppler and Cracked, I think it was, those 2. Other 2 that are non-PAL and don't work on my PAL machine. Now moving over here, we have my first shelf section of loose Atari 2600 games, and then we have another section of loose 2600 games. Coming up to the next shelf, we have the start of the boxed 2600 games, and a couple of original Atari controller extensions, quite long ones. We have some more boxed 2600 games. Now these cases here are Hess cases that were manufactured here in Australia under license. So you can only find these packages in Australia. They did do some limited exporting to the UK and a couple other places. So they're actually, it's a lot harder to find a game like in this particular packaging than the original packaging. And then I've got another shelf of boxed Atari games. They're all in pretty good condition. I picked them up in a particular lot in good condition. And then we go to my NES games. So I have quite a few loose, and I picked up 3 new boxed ones recently and a few boxed back there. And then down here we have a few more loose ones. That's one non-working PC Engine UCard. Haven't worked out why that doesn't work. Might just need another cleaning. Now I have my Nintendo 64 collection, which has actually doubled in recent weeks. I did have a lot more cartridges. 2 of these boxes are empty because I had like every single Star Wars title boxed and quite a few other titles for Nintendo 64. It was one of our family consoles, but they all got stolen, and I've gradually been picking up the occasional cartridge to flesh them out. Like I got Lilac Wars the other day, and I had that box with the Rumble controller originally. And I've got Super Mario 3, of course. So I've got quite a few really good NES titles now. And coming down to the next shelf, we have my PS1 collection. Once again, PS1 was another system that I had a lot of titles. I had quite a few titles, and the collection got stolen at the same time as the Nintendo 64. Then I have my complete PC Engine games, and then there's 3 Neo Geo games there. There's another 2 on another shelf, which we'll get to in a moment. And then we have my loose PC Engine Hue cards. I have about 50 games. Quite a lot of them, about 40 of them I got in one lot. And there's some very good games in that loose lot. As an example, that was in that loose lot, Final Soldier, and it's an awesome game. And another one, Dragon Spirit. Heaps of wonderful games on the PC Engine. I've got my PC Engine multi-tap or multiplayer controller, because you can only plug one joystick into a PC Engine by default. And then going down, I have my ColecoVision collection. I've picked up a few cartridges for the ColecoVision recently. I do have a few more ColecoVision games on the way. Okay, just going back up to the top of the shelf, I have a Saturn driving controller. Well, that's my second Dogbone controller for my top loader. I have Atari Vader and an original Woody console. Right, coming down to the units here, we have my arcade stick for my PC Engine. Keep it up there because I use it a fair bit. And my Waiko trackball, because I like playing the Atari 8-bit versions of Missile Command and Centipede using the trackball. It's much more fun to play. And then I have my Atari 800 XL, which works fine. And then underneath that, my Atari XE system. Sorry, it's a little concealed. Right, and that one just has straight AV out, doesn't need a special cable or anything like that. So that's the one I usually use for actually playing the games most of the time. I can get a lovely colour picture out of this 800 XL fine too, so there's nothing wrong with it. Then we move down to my cubes, which I've set up for the different systems. I have my SNES, and this contraption here is sent to me, Super Game Converter, sent to me by 1MSX to go. You plug a region valid cartridge in the back, which is my existing international cricket, and it allows you to play out of region carts, and this is a US raid and trad. Unfortunately, it won't fit in the console inside the Nook I made, because I made the Nook before I realised this thing was going to be so tall, but that works. Then we have the Nintendo 64. I've got 4 controllers for that. Yellow one's plugged in at the moment, and Mario Kart, so one of the kids has been playing that. That's the most played console by the kids. Then we have my Sega Saturn. I have 2 controllers. That works really well. And actually one of my other daughters has actually been playing Daytona a fair bit using that big steering wheel up there. I've been playing it as well. Then we have my Mega Drive with one of my arcade power sticks, and at the moment it's got Raiden Trad, Japanese version, hooked up with the Action Replay cartridge that I've had for a while and couldn't get working, but quite recently managed to get it working and Raiden Trad working, which I was very delighted about. And coming down a bit further, we have my PSP titles. So I've got quite a few PSP titles. I don't play it as much as I probably should. I'm playing this one at the moment. No, you can't see that. Untold Legends. And behind that are all of my children's DS games. There's quite a few there. Oh, and I do have a couple of Game Boy Advance games in boxes. So there's Metal Slug there, and the rest of them are all, and like a Harry Potter and things like that, but they're all primarily from the kids' collections, except for the Metal Slug, of course. Then, just to give you some perspective, that's the big TV that I use. It's quite a nice TV. And it's got 3 AV inputs, which is really useful. Around the side I have a manual switch, and up top I have a 6-in-1 AV selector with a remote control, and I've got the more often used consoles plugged into that. And my PC Engine sits up there. I sit it down on the floor when I play with it. The cords are actually quite short. Well, the power cord is, the AV cord's nice and long. So it sits up there when not using it, and then I just plug everything in and sit it down. What was I playing last? There we go, R-Type 1. Just sitting up top there is my PS1. It's not plugged in because I can play all the PS1 games on the PS2. Now underneath here we have a nice little cabinet, and we have, and I bring each console out to actually play it, but we've got the Sega Master System 1, a digital set-top box, and a PS2 Slim, my Atari 7800. I've got the specific 7800 controller sitting there. Excuse my dogs. I have my working Intellivision, and my ColecoVision sitting there. They're all RF based ones, so I've got a couple of RF cords there that they share. Coming along, I have what amounts to my Xbox and GameCube collection. Now, once again, instead of GameCube, concentration of Star Wars titles. So these are all my original GameCube titles, with a couple of extras that I've picked up here and there. Really don't see a lot of GameCube titles around, although I was actually out shopping today, and one of the cash converters actually, previously they've had 2 GameCube titles, and they had about 20. Now, there's quite a few sports titles which I'll never buy, and maybe a couple others that I might think about picking up, but they do have them for a bit of money, so not too fussed about doing that too early. Next we moved up, we have my original Xbox. Now, I've got no modern consoles out in the lair. I actually own an Xbox 360 and a PS3, and they're both inside the house. Although today, when my daughter was playing Need for Speed, with the little steering wheel I've got for this, was the first time I plugged it in for ages. Then we have my NES toaster version, which I have cut the lockout chip in and put a new connector in, but is still quite a fussy machine. Apparently Ed has suggested that I look at the actual spring that holds the game down, and that might be causing problems. Then we have the GameCube. Oh, by the way, we also do own a Wii as well. That's in the house as well. So, and there's one of the 2 Nintendo guns I have. And then another system that I really like is Neo Geo CD. Now this one requires a power converter that's hidden down there. The great Neo Geo CD controller. And over here we have 2 games that I've been playing. So King of Fighters and Sonic Wings. We've just got a little stereo unit there. Okay, now over to the next section of shelves. We have my Sega Master System collection. Currently at around 52% of the PAL titles, and just under 50% of the world set. There's also a Guitar Hero guitar there that my kids use. I don't think I've ever played Guitar Hero myself. There. Go to the next shelf there, and there's the light phaser hiding there. The Power Strike there. And the last shelf of Sega Master System, I've got 2 boxed of the card games and 2 loose ones. And one more Sega item while we're here. I have the Sega 3D glasses boxed, and they work. Now, next system that I particularly like collecting for, because it's nice and retro, is the Intellivision. I have quite a few boxes. They're not in too bad condition. I have the overlays for most of them. Got a couple of loose ones there. Burger Time I play a lot, so it's out. And I've got B-17 Bomber loose. Thank you, Intellivision dude. And there's IntelliVoice, and yes, it'll have B-17 Bomber in it. Well, hiding on this shelf at the moment is a Vectrex game, Scramble. I've only got 2 actual real Vectrex games. Next shelf is my ZX Spectrum shelf, or Sinclair shelf I suppose you might as well say, because there's my one ZX81 game there, which I am yet to try out yet. Well, actually hiding there are things I found the other day when I was tidying up. It was my Pandora battery and memory stick for my PSP. I do have one Electron game, Bug Blaster. I cannot load it though, it loads with errors, so the tape's degraded. Then we have some more Spectrum titles there. I've got quite a few. Oh, and hiding there is my one Amstrad title, which is R-Type. There's my original Lynx. Atari Lynx, good unit, and I've got some cartridges for that there in this box. And my Game Boy items, I'm not particularly into collecting too much Game Boy stuff, but I've picked up a few things. So I have Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, and quite a few loose games. A couple of Donkey Kongs, R-Type of course, collecting as many systems as possible. Galaga, Galaxian, and Empire Strikes Back, Perfect Dark, all quite good games. And in here we have my working Apple Newton and all its accessories. Okay, and sitting on the floor is a non-working Coleco that I got recently that I'm going to try to fix and see if I can get going again. It's obviously been opened once before because it's been serviced. Right, moving along, we have my part of my PS2 title collection. We actually have 4 PS2s in the family. They're in various kids' bedrooms, and there are titles in every room. Most of the titles inside are like all the Lego titles, as an example, and things like Spiderwick Chronicles. That's always a good favourite in the Simpsons games. But I do have quite a few PS2 titles, and I do play PS2 games on a regular basis. Next, another system that I'm collecting titles for is the Sega Saturn. Now these are the Australian boxes, so they have these hard cases. They generally tend to not be in good condition. There are some plastic cases as well, for those who haven't seen them before. There's another one of those. I've picked these up in bulk lots, so they're not in particularly good condition, some of them. These are all the ones that work. This pile is either some duplicates, so I do have some duplicates, and I think there's a couple on the bottom that I haven't been able to get to work, like MechWarrior 2 and Nights into Dreams. Both don't work, but I haven't found anybody locally that has a CD cleaner, and I haven't been or had time to try manual cleaning as yet, but all the ones standing up work, and I'm particularly like Darius 2. Right, moving along, we have my Game Gear collection. So I have 4 boxed Game Gear games and quite a few loose titles. I won't pull that out. I have these are my NES games. So you've already seen a couple that are sitting out there. I've got Dungeon Master. I've got another US game, Prince of Persia there. There's the box for the game converter. Super Star Wars I have. Super and Strike Back, I've got the box and no game. So that's another thing that was stolen. And then moving over here we get to the Genesis games. Now I have a few loose there and quite a few boxed. Now I really do only like the shoot 'em ups and a couple of odd platform games on the Mega Drive, so I may be looking at thinning these down and totally concentrating on getting shoot 'em ups. I probably will never get rid of the role-playing games because I've owned most of those since back in the day. But there's quite a few other titles there that I just don't play, and I prefer to allow room for the Master System collection. But I'll continue to get more shoot 'em ups. So I've got, you know, like Thunder Force 1, 2, 3, 4, Turrican, Zero Wings, another one I got recently. I have two 32X games. I have no 32X to play them so far. I'd like to get I'm not necessarily going to get a full collection of those. Once again, as I see them, I'll pick them up if I like the look of the game and it's not too expensive. Now over here we have a couple of loose computers. So this is a Spectra Video 328. So this the Spectra Video computers came out before the MSX standard, and the MSX standard is sort of modelled on the Spectra Video computers. They're pretty much identical except for a couple of minor changes. Sitting behind there is my TI-99-4A, and underneath I have a non-working Intellivision. My original Amiga 1000 from back in the day works perfectly. Don't have it hooked up all the time because I have both an Amiga 500 and 1200, and 1000 requires an extra kickstart disk every time you start it, so it's much easier to use the other two, but that works. There's my Super Expander for the Spectra Video. It has two drives, and it's got the 80 column card and the parallel card and the disk controller card, and I believe the RS-232 card as well. So there is the special data cassette that the original Spectra Videos need. It has a custom connector. So moving up to the top, we have my game boxes. Now there is a Sega Master System 2 in that box. There's the box for my Xbox, for my PS2 Slim, the one that's here. There's actually an Intellivision in this box, not working as well. That's a working Intellivision, fully boxed. The box of my PSP, original box of Atari joysticks, my Dingu handheld, the box for the Lyco trackball. There is my Atari 400 computer in box. So it was a pack that included Star Raiders and Pac-Man and two joysticks. I have my Spectra Video graphics tablet, and behind that I have the box, although a little bit rain damaged. And there is actually another Spectra Video Express in there, MSX computer, the main one I use for all my development. Up there is a PS2 Monster Rumble box and a couple more Atari ST peripherals. Alright, I'll just pause a second while we switch sides of the room. Okay, here is my collection corner, I suppose you could say. I have, and I do actually have more Star Wars items, but I'm slowly getting them out of storage. I've got a Star Wars Escape from the Death Star board game there, two signed photographs from cast members from Babylon 5, and then some Star Wars Lego coupled with some models that I've been building for a very long time and haven't finished. I do have quite a few, all of the original movies Star Wars. I don't have any from the newer movies. There's another signed picture there, a couple of other little Star Wars oddments. Another one there. That's a card. They're my original Star Wars bubblegum cards. Two Tintin books I picked up recently. Down here is my chess computer. The full collection of scripts from Babylon 5. And lots of books on programming at various stages. And then we come down to my PC games. You probably haven't seen a lot of these, but I do actually have a lot of PC games, mostly Star Wars and Diablo 2 and Icewind Dale. Going back a long way, Eye of the Beholder there. Quite a few books on astronomy and some more Star Wars things there. some more programming books, and more PC games, which I tend to find myself not doing much of. The last game I played on the PC would have been StarCraft 2. Right, there's some books and trophies there, a fridge and a kettle. You've got to have coffee. Right, here we have two sidecar hard drive add-ons for the Amiga 500, and only one power supply. They both power up. One has a dead hard drive, which I'm looking at replacing the hard drive and fixing. That's a dead PS1 controller. There is the nice carry case that comes with a Spectre Video 738 Express computer. A really well worked package. Now here we have, actually on top of the monitor, we have another one of our Atari 8-bit computers with the 130XE. And still only get black and white out of this thing. And then I have my Atari SC1435 monitor and hard drive add-on for the Atari ST that's sitting under here, which is a 1040 ST-E. That fully works, and the hard drive boots up. There's the mouse for that one. Two joysticks here because there's a joystick plugged into the Commodore 64, which is sitting on top of it. Up here we have my Atari 1050 disk drive. I know it powers on. I don't know whether it works yet because I don't have the interface cable, but I'm going to buy one shortly. I've found some on eBay and they're on there regularly. We have the floppy unit for the Commodore 64 that works, and that's the software that I have for the Commodore 64, that one there. So far, I don't have a lot so far. Up on top, I've got a bit of a random box. I've got lots and lots of boxes of 3.5-inch discs. Actually, I forgot about those. So there are all of my boxes of 3.5-inch discs for the Atari ST and the Amiga, and I've got another box full of stuff for the MSX. Alright, in these drawers down here I have, you can have a sneak peek at my Neo Geo layout that I'm working on at the moment. That is just the top section of the control panel. I need to build a box and a frame. I do have separate video of me building that for the next episode of my arcade project, but there's a sneak peek. Then we have the main monitor that I demo my retro systems on, and it is a Commodore 1081 monitor, a really versatile monitor because it has both SCART and AV in on the back and handles quite a few different frequencies. So I can have quite a few things plugged in here, and I've got a video recorder here, which I have all the AVs going in and the RF from various items. There's still some computers that require RF here. So that tunes in, acts as the tuner for the TV here. And then we have a SCART switch box. So I have one Amiga plugged in, the MSX, and now the Spectrum, because I got that cable recently. And it's also got AV out, so as soon as I get a capture card that works, I'll be able to capture video directly from that. Now moving along here, we have my Spectrum 128K plus 2 with the inbuilt tape deck. That's quite a nice machine. That's the first one made by Amstrad when they bought Spectrum, or bought all what was left of Sinclair. Underneath that we have my working TRS-80 colour computer, which is one of the first computers I played on in the Tandy stores back in the day, after the original TRS-80 Model 1, 2s and 3s. I'd love to get one of those, although one of those would take up all this space here. There's my really good Sanyo tape recorder. I really must get another tape recorder as a backup. Underneath here we have my working Philips NMS 8250 MSX computer. That's an MSX2 computer that's had a 7 megahertz switch put in, and it has been upgraded to 1024 megabytes of RAM and an upgraded disk ROM, and that works perfectly. That's its external keyboard there. They're quite nice because they've got and a removable keyboard. Underneath there, hiding, is my Amiga 1240, so it's got a hard drive that works. Underneath that is one of my Amiga 500s. So I have another one that's really yellow that I bought in a lot, and it's still in Melbourne. And I haven't managed to get it down here because I haven't had any trips to the mainland for a while. And there's two mice for the two Amigas and a joystick plugged in. Over here we have my Acorn Electron. That works really well. Great little machine. And underneath here is the main retro machine that I did programmed all my games on, which is the Spectravideo 738 Express. And that still all works. Sitting here, we have three of my original software titles under some joysticks. There's a Spectrum joystick there. So it's all being actively used, so that's always good. We have a mix of some new magazines, plus these are the magazines that I wrote back in the day. Called Micro's Gazette. One of those out, primarily black and white. And I've got a few other MSX magazines and Spectravideo user group magazines here as well. We have 3 controller and cable boxes. So we've got various cables and controllers in there. I've been trying to clean those up as much as possible. And I've got the spare Coleco power supply down there. Then here we have my terminal. It's an intelligent terminal, can run different protocols, and that's what I used recently to help Retro Gamer VX set up getting his ADS terminal working. So that all works fine. Made a serial cable that loops into the back of the computer that we're moving around to in a second, and you can log into the BSD host. Then one of the prides of my collection is my Vectrex machine, which I recently got my first overlay for, which is the Berserk overlay and the actual Berserk cartridge. But I also have the 20 or 32 game in one multi-cart, because it's a Vectrom. And I also got a replacement controller the other day. So it does have Milton Bradley on the bottom, it just doesn't have the Milton Bradley labelling on the top. But it works fine. There is a Commodore 64 data cassette that I got recently. I haven't cleaned it up, it's still dirty, and the cable needs fixing. I'm hoping that works. It's a little dented too, but I'm sure it will work. Down here we have a PC Engine that I got with those lots of Hue cards. Wasn't working at all when I got it, but I have actually managed to get it to work and boot up, and then it died again, so I need to do a bit more work on it. There is my top loader, which is what I use for running most of my NES games, because you plug a cartridge in the top loader and it works every time, pretty much. And there's the little TV, the one TV that I have that works with the top loader and gets both nice picture and sound without noise. I can get a lovely picture on most of the TVs, but I get sound, basically static in the sound, which is no good. And I've got a couple of NES games there that I've been playing, mainly those 3 new box ones that I got recently. Also a recent addition is my Namco arcade control stick. It's sitting there because I also realised I have a PS1 to controller to USB interface, so I'm going to plug that into there, and I'll actually be able to use that for playing some MAME until I get my proper MAME cabinet set up. And I've just got a desktop PC there that I use for rendering at the moment. Up here I have my programming books for the Spectravideo and MSX, also the one book written by me there in the folder. My iPhone programming books, lots and lots of CDs. In this section I have all of the books that I've collected for the Amiga and the Atari ST, and also there's one on the Atari 8-bits systems there as well, 2 of them. And then we have a pile of discs, an old camera, and round to my desk again. Alright, I'll just pan round to the console collection again. And, and as several people have requested, I have two dogs which you see in the back of my videos. They consider these chairs to be theirs. So this is the little dog who's pretending to be asleep, and this is the other dog who's also pretending to be asleep. And it's actually hard work getting them off these chairs to actually play some games sometimes. But that's the main position where I sit there to play my retro games. So hope you've enjoyed this tour. Hope it didn't suffer too much from camera bounce. And thank you very much for subscribing.